Today we're going to do an assembly and review of a Monster Mobile work table. First things first, this was delivered by UPS in this condition. There's a number of points of intrusion into the box. The corner was ripped off, the top was flapping wide open. Generally in pretty poor state, but I hope the table inside has not been damaged. I haven't even taken it out of the container yet, figuring why not also do this video as an unveiling video? Anyway, thanks UPS. You really knocked it out of the park again. By the way, if you haven't guessed already, I'm not a fan of UPS. Unfortunately, we don't have a choice how this stuff comes to us, and all too often we get damaged goods and packaging because it has been mishandled. Now, I don't know for a fact that it was UPS's fault. This could have happened anywhere along the line. These work tables get shipped from China, so it could happen in a warehouse. It could happen during the shipping across the ocean. It could happen at offloading here or in a warehouse here. But strangely, when we get stuff by other carriers, we don't have nearly the damage that we tend to see from UPS. Anyway, I don't know if that's true or not, but that's my anecdotal information. So let's unpackage this and see what condition it's in. The thing that concerns me most is the worktop, because this is not a super heavy piece, and if anything is going to get damaged or scratched or dented, it's going to be the top. So let's take that out first. Or not first, depending on how it's packed. This looks to be in pretty good shape. And this is in pretty good shape. A lot of the packing material was broken apart, so I guess it did its job. But it's all cracked and broken and just kind of laying loose in the container. This piece also looks pretty good.
This
this piece was floating around loose in there, but it also looks undamaged. Alright, well, you do have some damage on the top, and this part right here is dented, and you can see you got pushed down here. And that seems to be the only real damage at all. So what we can do is this. We can do our best to bend that back and make it look right. I will call my account manager on this to tell him what we found, because I already talked to him when we received it and told him the condition of the packaging. And he said if we call him with any kind of damage, he'll give us a discount and we can pass that discount on to the customer, because they should not have to pay full price for a brand new item that has been damaged. So we can offer up the discount to the customer. If he says yes, we go ahead. If he says no, then we return this, get a full credit, and have him ship us a new one. The unfortunate reality is, of course, there's no guarantees that another one getting shipped is going to come in any less damaged than this one did. And there's also this damage here. This partition got pushed in that way. You can see even broke one of the spot welds. And I apologize because I thought the camera was rolling at the time, but it wasn't. But what you missed was, in straightening this corner out, as I was flexing the metal up, I broke the spot weld for the partition in the corner here. So this spot weld's broken. This one was broken when it came in, but the corner's straight. And the choice will be the customer's. Does he want to take the discount, or does he want to wait for a resend of the same item? I don't know. I'll see him Wednesday. But in the meantime, we'll finish up the assembly and do the review on the product itself, the condition of it notwithstanding. In the drawer was the box of hardware and a parts breakdown and operating manual. Although I don't really know what kind of manual you'll need to operate a table. And it's written in 3 languages. So let's get it all out and put it all together. Right off the bat, things are kind of weird. If you look at the assembly instructions, it says, Step 1, install 1 caster in each square hole through the bottom support, 21 and 23. There's 21, there's 23, and that is 21 and 23 IRL. That's in real life for all you older folks. There is no square hole at all. That hole is round. No big deal. But it does say, to be sure, the square bolster on the post of each caster inserts fully into the square hole in the support. Every caster has a hexagonal bolster on it. It ain't fitting in that hole, folks. That's what she said. So screw the instructions, we're clearly on our own. And on this post here, there's a channel that the set screw rides in to maintain its height, and that's got to match up with the threaded hole here. The problem is they don't tell you in the instructions which direction this has to face, so we're just going to plan this all out before we put it all together, and probably have to take it apart and put it together again. Why didn't you tell me I did this? You saw it when it was happening. Say something. There, now it's fixed. Yell at the screen louder next time. Now that everything has been loosely assembled, we're going to put the top on the bottom, make sure everything lines up right, and then we'll tighten it down. I don't think this is correct. If you look, the table is off center to the left. It looks like I may have to switch around that tube I just connected to the top of the unit and see if the left side here needs to really be on this side. Let's swap it around and see what we got come up with. Yeah, just sizing it up like that, we're gonna offset it a few inches to the right, so that'll line it better. So I'm gonna take the top tube back off, turn it 180 degrees, and that should do us. All right, test fit number 2. And that looks more like it should. Alright, well, I gotta confess something, I screwed up. I was initially correct about the orientation of the top. And then I flipped that tube 180 degrees and put this back on, and now as I look at it again, I realized, no, I was right the first time, so I was wrong about being right, and now I'm right about being wrong. The idea is that the top is offset a bit so that you can get it closer to a vehicle that you're working on. So I'm just gonna undo these, flip that tube another 180 degrees and put it back the way it was. Now we tighten it all down. In order to tighten down the caster nuts, you gotta hold that hex bolster with a wrench that they give you. It's kind of like they knew it wasn't a square bolster. Oh. Now that the tedious part is over, let's do the exciting review. There's a lot to like about these carts, and there is a reason they are so popular. This is not a cart. This was not a boating accident! There's a lot to like about these tables, and they're very popular for a reason. All the surfaces have nice rubber mats in them. and 3 organizational bins in the front. And these have the nice feature of having a pull-out drawer. Many of the tables, the BluePoint one in particular, do not have drawers. And this one is very nice because it gives you the extra storage space. The pedestal is adjustable with this T-handled screw. Just loosen that up. This section slides up and down. Let's tighten it to the desired height. And the tubing here is rather heavy, and it should withstand the rigors of any shop fairly well. The casters are not the heaviest duty casters in the world, but they are sufficient to get this thing around. Even the gauge of metal they use on the top is fairly heavy, just not heavy enough for UPS. And the finish on here is a very nice heavy powder coat. For all that is great with this table, I wish it did just a couple of things differently to improve the design. If it did, I promise it would corner the market. Now let's compare this one to the BluePoint table. The base on the BluePoint table is different than this one. Its base is U-shaped, and the support post here, instead of mounting to the center or just off center of the table, mounts all the way over on an end of the table, and the long portion of the table, instead of being side to side, is front to back, so it follows the shape of the U out. And what that means is that you can push that table right up against the fender because the base wraps around the wheel and the post will come right up to the fender, but that tabletop is then extending out into the engine compartment, or you can move it up real close to the grill as well. And when you're bent over the engine working, all you have to do is reach to the side to grab your tools. This design, the Sonex Monster design, doesn't do that. And you can't extend the table out over the engine compartment at all. So you're relegated to pushing it up to a fender or a grill, but it doesn't get nearly as close or hang over nearly as nicely as the BluePoint one does. What that means is the market for this table is limited. And I noticed that the diesel guys tend to be a much better consumer group for this table than the automotive or the paint and body guys. For dimensions, it's adjustable from a low of 34 inches to a top height of 47 3/4, which makes it a perfect height to stand at and work at, or if you're sitting or working over the fender of a car, you can adjust it to any height that you need to get over the fender or as close to the engine compartment as you can get it. It's 20 inches deep by 29 inches wide, and you've got a 1-inch depth to the top itself. Again, the 3 compartments in the front, the large work surface in the middle, and along the back, it's got holes for screwdrivers and extensions, small pry bars, or anything else that you need to hang and fit in there and keep handy. And the total weight capacity is 220 pounds. And you have 4 color choices. It comes in green, orange, gray, or the black color that you see here. And if you don't want to miss a thing that I got coming up, click here now to subscribe so that you don't miss a beat. Thanks so much for watching. And remember, use a tool. Don't be one.